Well, in the immortal words of Alice Cooper, school's nearly out for summer, and therefore you know what that means. Time to practice RSAT analogies. Cat is to kitten as dog is to puppy. Orlando nightclub shooting is to anti-gay terrorist attack, as Christian school shooting is to, you guessed it, Frank Stallone. You've in all likelihood heard the news, and sadly, it struck Nashville. We're in a near-in version of the Uvalde incident, where a gaggle of Bumpkinville's best milled the fuck around for interminable hours until the shooter tired of committing mass murder, whereupon they casually waddled onto the premises and asked him kindly to please quit killing folks. The Nashville PD decided to skip straight from fuck around to find the fuck out, waxing this living, breathing butt stash off the ass crack of the human race in a matter of minutes, sparing countless innocent lives in the process. Hail and kill, Nashville PD, and God fucking speed. And you know there's an ageless rule in the annals of tragedies such as these. If the shooter's a slack-jawed, pasty-faced fucking white boy, you'll know in a matter of microseconds. But if you don't know who done it inside of an hour, with a likelihood eclipsing absolute certainty, he, she, it, exclamation point, probably belongs to one of the multitudinous social strata the Democrats devote their careers to pretending to give the faintest fuck about. You may mock my system, but fuck you, I was right. It ain't been wrong to date. When we finally learn the perpetrator's name and motivations, let's just say it's obvious why authorities in the media held them the fuck back initially. The gunman, or gunmam as the case may be, belonged to one of the many vaunted protected classes we've added to the alphabet in the name of naked fucking aberrance. Was the motive social? Political? Well, put it this way. The gun person arrived replete with a blood-red MAGA-style baseball cap explicitly intended to manipulate the media into initially blaming their political opponents. Does that answer your question? That they nevertheless had the discipline to hold the fuck off in this case says a little something about how wafer-thin the deception truly was. But when they finally did part their odious maws and begin to fashion a narrative, it was about as ghoulish as it's ever been. All but explicitly taking the side of a mass murderer on the basis that Tennessee had recently passed what they dim-wittedly decree was an anti-trans law, and therefore they were understandably driven to violence. Exact fucking quote, assholes. NBC famously crowed, "Fear pervades Tennessee's trans community amid focus on Nashville shooter's gender identity." Quote, "We were already fearing for our lives. Now it's even worse. Should it ever be your grave misfortune to ever need to murder scores of innocent, pleading children in cold blood, may you fall to your knees and pray to whatever you worship that NBC News are the ones to cover it." What comprises said anti-trans laws, you inquire? Oh, just abject hate speech, such as requiring parents' written knowledge and consent before allowing taxpayer-funded genital mutilations, and requiring the primary purpose of a drag show not be for wig-wearing windowless van aficionados to perform puppetry of the penis in front of preschoolers. Wild, reactionary shit, I know, but the talking dickheads on CNN, I get. It's the goddamn imbeciles on what is ostensibly our own side I'm extending a middle finger to now, with all too many armchair anti-authoritarians asserting that the fine folks in the federal government should ban anyone at all with a prior mental health history from ever owning a firearm. Sounds neat and tidy, don't it? The implication being that gender dysphoria is in fact a formally cataloged mental disorder, and thus its sufferers should be disallowed from owning a fucking shooting implement. Why, the only complicating factor is that, someone has to decide who's mentally fucking fit and who ain't, and in case you haven't caught on to the waning credibility of the psychiatric establishment, they happen to also be the self-same fuckheads who decided the clinical cure for gender dysphoria is a fucking pizza cutter. These are the ideologically inclined ass faces you want holding the reins of a vast tyrannical bureaucracy that can only for a moment exist in direct contravention of the Constitution and states' sovereignty. Never mind that the very same Fed fucks whose task it would be to implement such aforementioned authoritarian mental health measure are already popping Xanax and lithium like Whitney Houston at a tax audit. If you took a bat to Nancy Pelosi half as hard as her homo husband took that hammer, that bitch would explode like a piñata full of Percodan. They still have January 6th people in prison they haven't even bothered to think up a charge for. How do you suppose it would go, handed the feds a blank check backed only by a goddamn doctor's note to instantaneously ban any and all of their political opponents from ever owning the means to protect themselves? Exactly. Hell, Hillary's killed more people than cholera even without that fucking law. How much worse do you suppose it'd be with the fucking thing? Can the people on our own side plan more than a single step ahead for the first time in their fucking lives, please? I'm getting a bit tired of explaining why the mental illness rate skyrocketed in Soviet Russia, about 15 seconds after Stalin's first fucking purges began. Put it this way. If you're advocating a national mental health registry to preclude firearm ownership, congrats! You've just adopted the self-same platform as Jeb fucking Bush. Capiche? And speaking of which, the old establishmentarian faces were not long in materializing. Why, even old Skiz Cheney chimed in on Twitter with, "If we really want to keep our children safe, we need to spend less time banning books and more time stopping the horrific gun violence in our schools." Ah, those Cheneys, always shooting their hunting partner's mouth off. You sure you're pissed about gun violence, Lizzo? Or is it just because your dad isn't holding the gun this time? Do me a favor, Wyoming. Can you elect this droopy dog-looking dipshit again just so we can watch her get voted out of office all the fuck over again? Boomers with broken dicks are using footage of her loss as a substitute for Viagra. I'm hard as a cinder block just thinking about it. But now that the implants run the asylum, I'm afraid Arizona also got in on the act, with one public official posting a meme that appeared to applaud the gunman mere minutes after the deed, no less. That official, you ask? The public relations officer for Arizona Governor Katie Knobs. And by public relations officer, I mean former public relations officer, as she fell on her sword to protect her Bolshevik boss. And by governor, I mean governor with an asterisk the size of her waistline. Ah, who else missed those righteous Obama-era forced resignations intended exclusively to eliminate the culpability of the boulder above her? Finally, Arizona has its very own Lois Lerner. And if I may end on an aside, bitch, you can make the Arizona taxpayers shell out for as many Ricky Lake makeovers as you like. You can hide behind your hipster glasses and rotate through hairdos like RuPaul. You're still gonna look like a bridge troll. Your 4-foot fuckall got the same measurements as Grimace, and all the halcyon lighting and pancake concealer in the world won't hide the fact that your chin is a 6-part miniseries. And while out of principle, I refuse to alter my use of pronouns, in the spirit of conciliation, I will use the shooter's proper verbs. Problem being, they're all in the past fucking tense. I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
You've been hunting with Dick Cheney, haven't you?
I have indeed.
What's that like? I mean, you live to tell the tale, which isn't always the case.
Dick Cheney is a very good wing shot.
Humans or animals?
Ducks.